This week on the big show, the Sundance Film Festival begins next week, and over the next hour, we'll look at some of the titles that we're looking forward to seeing when we get to the mountain. Plus, we're in the middle of award season with Oscar nominations on the horizon. We'll look at who's surging at the right time, and we'll talk about the absolute reboot of Reggie Hudlin's House Party. Travis Hobson and Charles Kirkland are here. We'll have all that and more on episode 522, Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. Let's go. All right, and welcome to the latest episode of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. I am Tim Gordon. Charles Kirkland joins us. Charles, what's going on?
I'm good, but I do have something I need to say. I'll let you do the rest of the introductions first.
Well, thank you, sir. And joining us today, a guy we don't have on the show as much, and in 2023, we will change that. We need to have Travis Hobson on here at least once a month, giving us his unique perspective.
That's hell of a commitment.
Travis Hobson, what's up, brother?
I don't know if I can make that commitment, but I appreciate the intent behind it. Thank you.
No. Oh, we gonna make that commitment.
I mean, y'all can make that commitment all you want. It doesn't matter if I'll actually be here. But
all right, I got you. All right, I haven't said that.
I thank you. It's good to be here. Since we don't get to do WETA that much together anymore, it's good. It's good to be here. So.
I guess I could get you another Funko, but I think it looks like you okay over there, Funko wise.
Yeah, I mean, this is an old photo of my background, so yeah.
You never have too many Funkos. What are you talking about?
All right, man.
Really? I mean, that's not my current setup anymore. But
all right, Charles Kirkland, you said you had something to say, Charles. What's going on?
Well, yeah, actually, but it's really cool that the both of you are here. We lost a big fan at the DC Film Society this week, this month. Martin Wooster, who, I mean, many of you, the two of you may recognize from the guy that used to shoot terrible puns at you when you were hosting our association.
Oh, really?
And so we're having a special engagement for him in next week, which I'll miss because I'll be at Sundance. But it was a big surprise and shock that he passed away.
Well, that's a shame. He usually, when we do the Oscar nights and things like that, he'll usually have something weird to say that'll throw us off. But that's sad. That's sad. And
and Travis was such a big fan of all of his puns.
Go out to his friends and family, huh?
I said Travis was such a big fan of all his puns. He told me so every time he would make them.
I'm the one who has to engage with people, so yes, it's I do remember his many puns, and that is very sad. I have my condolences to his friends.
Condolences to his family, man. So we've got Travis for a limited amount of time today because he has a prior commitment. So I think, Charles, I don't think you had an opportunity to see House Party yet. Am I correct?
You are.
So Travis and I will tackle House Party. I put a review up on the site this morning. Travis, I'm sure you did the same thing.
I did.
So without any further ado, let's jump right into it, and I'll just set it up. This new House Party stars. God, what is the guy's name? I kept saying it as I was recording it this morning over and over.
Jacob Lattimore and Tosin.
Jacob Lattimore and Tosin Cole, right? And I think, as I wrote in my review, Travis, I pretty much said that because you have to compare both films. And I was saying that this film kind of had all of the same elements of the first one. You had the two friends, you had the dumb neighborhood bullies, you had the love interest, and you had the party, right? But what was different about this one was that I don't think the director, Cal Maddock, did a really good job, along with Stephen Glover and Jamal Olari, I think his name is, who kind of wrote the screenplay. I don't really think they did a good job with the story. I think they spent more time making sure that they had all of these different cameos and that they tried to kind of mirror the first film as best as possible.
Right.
But the story is woefully lacking. It's like it's a series of wonderful little homages that happen throughout the film. And some of it's funny, some of it hits, some of it really doesn't. Out of the four of us that were there that were critics that night, I sat next to Travis and, of course, Shireen, Nicole, and Julie and Lytle sat to my right. The three of them guys really enjoyed it a lot more than I did. I kept staring at the screen. Travis would look over at me. I was like, what what's happening? So I don't have a grade for it. I just thought that I didn't want to appear to be the get off my lawn old dude who really didn't get a lot of it. But I basically wanted to say, seriously, Travis, last thing before I throw it to you, is that House Party started off fun back 30 years ago, and it grew in stature over time. I just wonder, when I see a lot of these remakes, will they do the same for this generation like the previous one did for ours? So with that being said, Travis, what did you think about House Party?
I mean, look, House Party, the 1990 film, is as seminal a film to my childhood as anything there ever could be. I mean, I was 13 when it came out. Anything that you watch when you're around the age of 12 or 13 years old sticks with you forever. And House Party is one of those movies. I've probably seen it more than just about any movie I've ever watched. Like it's one of those things, man. I could probably do the dance routine now if I wasn't old and overweight and would kill myself if I tried to do it. But I probably could. I remember it for sure. Look, this new movie, and I went into it like most people. When it was first announced that LeBron was trying to do a House Party movie, I was like, please don't touch my favorite movie. Please don't touch it. But walking into it, I expected the worst. But the thing that I eventually had to realize is that I had to get over comparing it to the 1990 movie. It's not that movie. It has a different feel. It has different priorities. It has characters with different motivations, as it should. It's a movie that's 30 years later. Nothing should be exactly the same. So the characters are different, and I shouldn't expect it to be kid and play. I shouldn't expect Jacob Lattimore and Tosin Cole to be kid and play. They don't have the same dynamic, the same friendship, the same kind of history those two had walking into the movie. We already knew them as a duo. So it's just not the same. But I ended up having a lot of fun with this House Party. I really did. Once I got over myself and just sat back and enjoyed it. It's ridiculous. It is far more bizarre and far out than the original House Party was, which is really a grounded movie, kind of a scrappy movie that came out at a time when hip hop was really showing itself as more than just music. It was culture, it was clothing, it was movies were taking influence from hip hop, and House Party came out at just the right moment. This movie doesn't have that. It doesn't have that. It's just like kind of like a mishmash of black comedies thrown against the wall here with a little bit of LeBron James mixed into it. And I managed to have a lot of fun watching it. I mean, it's a blast watching him go through LeBron's house and mess around with his stuff. And LeBron has done a good job of crafting this persona for himself on the big screen of himself as King James. Like in Trainwreck, he's the guy dispensing advice, and in Space Jam, he's the elite all-star and megastar and multimedia giant. And this one, he's like everything. He's like a Zen guru. He's just crafting this weird persona for himself where he's like untouchable. And it really shines in this movie and making him like this figure that is like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this to LeBron. And that's a big part of the fun. Like you're sitting there watching it and you're like, I can't believe they're doing this in LeBron's crib. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's a lot of cameos. It's overloaded with cameos. Some of them work, some don't. Kid Cudi has by far the best co-starring role in the movie. I think he steals the movie actually, and he steals it. He doesn't just steal; he steals it and like takes it for a ride. Like he carries it with him and goes places that you don't expect this movie to ever go. And it's honestly a blast. So I think this is one of those movies that you kind of gotta go into it, and if you're like me and you House Party means a lot to you, you kind of have to shove that aside a little bit. There are callbacks to the original, the bullies who are very much modeled after Full Force, and you get a couple jokes that call back to the original. A couple cameos that definitely call back to the original. I have a cat who's being a menace. Sorry.
So you turn around, I'm like, you all right over there?
He's going places he's not supposed to and knocking stuff over, and I'm about to throw him against the wall.
So
Travis was coming for you.
So just in other words, like, this house party is a lot of fun. Get over yourself a little bit and just kind of enjoy the ride.
So let me jump in real quick, because I saw Charles about to say something. I just want to go back and make one observation, right? I noticed, when you talked about how House Party meant something to you, films like Shaft and Superfly meant something to me, right? And when I saw them with this woeful attempt about 5 years ago to do Superfly, which was ridiculous. John Singleton, who I love dearly, the Shaft that he produced with Samuel L. Jackson, I think there's something to be said about trying to revisit some of these stories. And I remember when they were talking about wanting to do Uptown Saturday Night and with Denzel Washington and Will Smith. And I was like, no, leave it alone, because part of the appeal of some of those movies, man, and what makes them work, and Sparkle is another one. Sparkle is another one when they tried to remake and it didn't work. I think there's a time period that these movies exist in. And if you pull those movies out this time and try to update them in our time, I think a lot of the nostalgia and the storytelling doesn't work, because the imperfections in those films are the things that I think people love. Even in a film like House Party, I watched it this morning because I was rewatching it, getting ready for the day's show. And I was like, that movie was great, but there was some things in there that wouldn't play if you tried to do a shot by shot today. Yeah. That just wouldn't work in 2023. It just wouldn't. But it worked fine in 1990, 1991.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. This movie doesn't have sort of the, like I said, the scrappiness of the original. Like, it's not a perfect movie. It's not, it's not a lot of things, but it's just a movie that captured its moment. And I don't think you can totally, like, if they tried to, I've tried to stress to people that this is not a remake. It's not. Just don't go in there looking for it to be a remake. But there's certain things that they tried to do that, to capture the feel of the original that don't work. Like me and Shireen were talking about the dance off sequence, which is so iconic. The dance showdown in the original is just a masterpiece, and it's a masterpiece not just because the dance moves are great, and they are, like, it's like the perfect song. Like, that song is not great, like, but that song is great for that scene. Like, it's great for that dance.
You saying ain't my type of hype? That's not a great song.
Ain't my type of hype is not a good song, but it's a good song for that moment.
Oh, it's great in that movie.
It's great in that moment, but that dance scene is so good because there's not just a friendship there, but like a sexual tension there between all four characters. They got this thing going on where you don't know who's going to end up with who and who wants to really be with who. There's this whole thing going on, and this movie doesn't do that at all. It tries to set up a similar scenario of like a dance-off between two guys and two girls, but it's missing that element. It's missing that crucial element, that love element that's there. Like, that's gone. And plus, it just looks like they're trying to do TikTok dances, basically. It doesn't look like they're doing like dances that are personal to them. Like, when I watched the original House Party, like that Kid and Play dance they did, like, ain't nobody else doing that dance but those two guys.
Right.
And those two girls are the only two who are going to do that dance. Like, they know it together. Like, it's, you watch it, it's like they practiced it together. They're like the only people who will do it. The dances in this one, it's like, something you saw on TikTok, something you saw on social media.
The other thing about the film,
that crucial personal factor.
No, I got you. And I was going to say the other thing about the film, when you talked about it coming along with the right time, Robin Harris was right on the verge of exploding. So his character in there, you had John Witherspoon in there. I was looking at House Party today. I said there was so many people that came out of that film after that and went on and had careers. And again, you're not going to get that out of this House Party. That's not going to work the same way in 2023.
No, but you might get Calmatic as a go-to filmmaker for certain kinds of black comedies. He's doing White Men Can't Jump after this. So, I mean, yeah.
Another one, man.
Another movie. Another 1990 classic.
Yeah, make new stuff, man. Stop remaking old stuff. But go ahead, Charles.
Well, I was getting ready to throw in that same point about comedic, but we can't really say that we won't have people break out of this movie because Jacob Lattimore has been doing some things before, and this might be one of those movies that springboards. It's all about what's happening in the culture at that time, and back in the day when the first House Party came out, all of Herbie Lovebug's people he put in that movie, we didn't know them unless you've been going to the Fresh Fest and seeing them doing all the dances and listening to all the music stuff. You didn't really know them either, and so it was a small budgeted film that came out back in '90, and so we don't know how the public is going to receive and what's going to happen with the people in this film.
There are some people in this movie that I guarantee you that, Tim, you and I are just aged out of. We don't know some of them. Like, we just don't know who they are.
I know it's sad, man.
I hate to say that I'm too old for some of the people that are probably in this movie, but it's probably true. There are some people that are here that other people might be. There, in fact, I know there were, because I heard the reactions from the crowd to people showing up. That was like, eh? Like, I didn't know who it was. Like, I didn't know why this person was special to everybody else, and I didn't realize. In fact, I don't think any of it, except for maybe Julian, might have known everybody in the movie. Actually, I don't think Shireen knew everybody in the movie either. So
there's at the beginning, man. I don't want to be the old get off my lawn dude, but I might have to retire in a couple of years, man. If the movies start getting to a point where I don't understand or recognize what's hot, what's not anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy, man.
Did I hear Travis say?
I know when I started, there were a lot of critics that were like that, especially as things became more pop culture based, and there were a lot of like older generation critics who were just like, they were never going to catch up, and they were never going to understand, and they were always going to be that critic who was against something that they just didn't get. I don't ever want to be that critic either. So
Did I hear Travis say that he was 12, 13 when the movie came out, and now he's too old? Come on, man. You're still young in comparison. So yeah. Take your children. Oh, wait a minute. None of you have children. My bad. I was gonna say I take my children with me to see movies like this so they can keep me fresh on who they are.
Right. I probably need something like I need to go hang out with my nephew or something. So,
well, I know we can't review it today, but I had a chance to see an early screening of You People. I really want to find out what you think about that. I just got off the phone with Shireen and I was talking to her about that. I can't wait. We need to bring you back for that because I have a definite point of view about that film, but I really am interested in what you would think about it, Charles. I sort of know where Charles is going to go with it, but Travis is who I'm really interested in. So
yeah, I mean, we don't really think about what Charles thinks about these movies anyway. But I know you really care about what I feel about it, and I appreciate that. So when
I'm not going to say
Charles isn't really here for his reviews, right? Charles isn't really here for his reviews, right? Like that's not why he's.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's an inside joke, y'all. Y'all are missing. So that's fun.
Travis, now you
fight back, man.
Charles is Ed McMahon. He's not really here like for like his like actual like critiques of stuff. He's just.
Did he just call you Ed?
Yes, he did. And hey yo, that's all I gotta
say. Travis, go ahead on and make your run, man. But thank you, brother, for coming through. I swear, man, we definitely will invite you. I can't promise that he'll come, but Travis will be invited a lot because I've been getting
all the invites you want. I'll show up at something.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate
it. We may do a show from Sundance and get him in on that.
We say this every year. Like you should do something.
Well, it sounds like everybody's schedule is light enough that we can do a show this year.
I mean, it's possibly true. Honestly, we should just tape our conversation at Squatters. Is what we should do. It's like just bring like a little mobile camera and just tape our Squatters conversation.
Well, see, Charles hasn't been to Squatters, so he doesn't understand what we're talking about. But you're absolutely right.
Cortland, who's my co-writer, who's coming with me. She's never been to Squatters either, so I have a couple Squatters virgins there. And you don't drink. I mean, Squatters is only really good for its beer, because the food is only okay.
Pretty much, but it's one of the few places you can sit down. Oh, quick story before Travis gets out of here, because we got to tell people this. years ago, Travis and I were at Sundance, and Travis, remember we went on Main Street and we were hungry, so we were like, "Hey man, let's go to this restaurant." And we walked in, and the woman, I swear, Charles, did like this. She looked us up and down. She was like, the menu is fixed and it's $80 a person." And I turned to look at Travis. Travis looked at me. I said, "We'll do two."
Yeah. we ate there out of spite, basically.
and they stuck us in like, what were we, near the kitchen in the back?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It wasn't great seats. Food is not great in Park City, by the way.
No,
Food's not great. Food is not great, and it's expensive. Do yourself a favor and stick to the fresh market, and you'll be fine.
Well, see, my issue with that, well, it's not going to be that much of an issue this year, is that, normally if we had our schedules packed doing 4 or 5 movies a day, you got to try to eat and go. So it sounds like nobody's schedule is really that packed. So we may have some time to kind of sit down and find some food that I mean, you're right. None of that stuff down there we've ever eaten is ever good.
No, here's the thing. And I gotta go in a couple minutes here. But here's the thing with me. It's like, I look back at Sundance and I wonder about those times when we would go to like the Main Street deli and eat lunch.
That was good.
And I was like, yeah, no, the food was great there. I
mean, in the deli, yeah.
Who doesn't love a fucking deli? But excuse my language. But it's just like, I'm like, when do we have that kind of time? Like, remember we used to spend Saturdays and like watch the celebrities come in,
go to Main Street and just sit there and relax and watch them go up and down the street. Yeah,
I'm like, when did we have that time? What were we doing?
Well, that was early. We haven't done that in several years. That was early in our Sundance.
I know what you were doing. You weren't watching movies. That's what it was.
Oh, but we still saw a lot of movies, though. It's not as if we didn't see movies. We saw a lot still. But
well, you got to find time to take a break, man. Because to Travis's point, I watched him do it. I've done it. That we go and pack a schedule with 4 or 5 movies in a day, and all you're doing is sitting in movies, and you got to get out and experience some of the ambiance of what makes Sundance Sundance. So
that's what I learned the last year, because none of us have been there since 2020 because of the pandemic. And I learned that last year, it's like, it's better to do fewer movies and just enjoy the Sundance experience than to try to go there and see everything, because you'll never see everything no matter what you do.
And all of that stuff will come out later in the year anyway.
And you'll be miserable, and you'll have less fun. You'll get less out of it. Like if you try to cram your schedule to the gills, it's just not worth it. Just go see 2 or 3 movies a day and enjoy yourself. Have fun at Sundance.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because I've watched you like pack movies, and then Travis will turn around and write reviews after seeing 4 or 5 movies a day. Yeah. I was like, bro, that's nuts.
That's why I learned it, because I'm like our friend Chris Bumbray. Me and him are exactly the same. Like we are. That's why we're friends. We are exactly the same. It's how we met. We get into a festival rhythm. We go movie review. We bang them out as soon as we can. And both of us are at that same point now after doing that for years. This is like my 12th year of Sundance, and it's like, you get to the point where you're doing those 4 or 5 movie days, and all you do is go to the movies and write reviews, and you have no time to relax, no time to enjoy yourself. You're stressed because you're trying to stay in that rhythm. It's better to do less and enjoy Sundance more, and especially now that we're older. It's just like, I don't know if I could physically do 4 or 5 movies a day anymore. And
you could. You could.
You can do it. You can do it.
You could. I mean, I just think for me, because I've been doing it for so long, so it's like, you and I talk about it. It's kind of festival memory, man. You just sit there and just bang, 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 bang. So.
Yeah, I don't want to be the guy who's sitting there in the line trying to knock out a review. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I've done that before. Right. Where like, oh, I got 20 minutes before this movie starts. Let me sit here in the middle of the line where everybody else is around me having fun and enjoying everybody's company. And I'm sitting there trying to write. I don't want to be that guy. I was the
one always telling Travis, man, Travis, what are you doing? Always saying, why are you writing?
Always working. Always working. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy my Sundance experience now.
Well, Travis, thank you for coming through, man, and sharing that and giving people a look behind the curtain sometimes, because they hear us talk about doing all of this stuff. You don't understand what it takes in order to get it done. Charles will find out this week for sure.
I hope the altitude doesn't kick you in the ass.
It will. It will. It does for every first timer.
It does some people. It kicked Tim in the ass a couple times. I know that much.
It got you too.
Yeah, I mean, there was one year where I honestly have not had it really kill me, but the one time it did was a few years after. I mean, I'd been to Sundance for years, and then just one year, it just I tried to make that walk to the Egyptian one year.
Oh God!
I stopped like 5 times on the way up that hill.
Well, it got me that one year that we were together, and after that, I haven't had any problems. But I know it's all about the water.
What, the flatulence year?
Oh my God, man! I couldn't help it. Everywhere I was.
That was a bad year as a person who's staying with you. So it was a rough year.
Well, Travis, thank you. TMI. I was hoping you wouldn't tell that story, but you did.
I know you weren't going to say it. That's why I said it.
All right, brother. But thank you for coming through, man. And
all right, guys.
And we will see you next week, Travis.
All right, see you guys later.
See you later.
All righty. Of course, that is my man Travis Hobson from Punch Drunk Critics. It's kind of still my partner. We're still over at WETA, with DC Film Society. So we do a lot of stuff together. But yeah, Charles,
what you talking about, Tim? What you talking about?
I'm not saying anything, man, because Charles has just got bad comedic timing, man. It just never works, man. So Charles, that was interesting, man. What we were talking about there, because it's funny. Travis got there much later. I've always had the mindset, like, I will go see a lot of movies, but I've always understood with my Sundance schedule that opening night is normally, because they changed it now, opening night normally happens on Thursday. So traditionally, there would be no movies all day until like around maybe 5:30, 7:30 on Thursday night. This year, they've changed it that they have movies start at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I also kind of drew a line in the sand this year that because I'll credit you because you were going, I wanted to make sure that I was there to try to be a really good guide for you. Mm-hmm. So what I did maybe 3 weeks ago on our site on the FilmGordon is I kind of went through the schedule and found all the movies that I really wanted to see and wrote them down. So when the P&I schedule came out, I just went on, found what times the movies would be playing, and I think I ended up with 12 movies. So there might be some other options to watch some stuff hybrid, online. And I just found out a couple of days ago at while Travis and I were hanging out that we weren't able to get our tickets in advance this year because they changed the not the packages, but the what do you call it? Like the different levels of tickets.
Yeah, the press pass.
Yeah, they changed the classification of the press passes. So we are no longer in the you can get 10 tickets to the premieres. So part of this, a lot of this is pandemic related. So after the pandemic and kind of the viewing or the attendance kind of changed a little bit. So they went in and retweaked some stuff. So this will be my first time going to the new Sundance Film Festival because the one I'd gone to the first 7 years, I sort of understood the rhythm and the rhymes, how to navigate, how to move. So this is going to be interesting, man. I mean, so for all of us, like I said, I've got 12 movies I'm going to try to see in 6 days, which technically ain't a lot at all because there've been years I've gone to Sundance with Travis, and Travis and I may have seen like close to 30 movies, man. Like, well, between 25 to 30 movies inside of those 5 or 6 or 7 days or however long we're there. But to his point, and this is a takeaway for you, Charles, you want to have the experience of being at Sundance, not just the experience of standing online, going from movie, coming out the movie, getting back in the next line, going to the next movie, getting out of line, getting back in line. So I mean, I've done it. I've had a day, Charles, I told you the story. I had a day one time. I had never been to the Egyptian for a screening. And the Egyptian in Park City is kind of like, if you live in Washington, D.C., is what the Uptown is. It's a theater that is historic. You need to get in there and at least see something one time in the Egyptian. And I'd gone to Sundance maybe 5 times. I had never gone to the Egyptian for anything, right? So this one day I had 5 movies. And the last movie, Charles, was at the Egyptian. It was midnight. So I had been going to movies since like 9 o'clock in the morning. And this last movie was at midnight. And it was the 6th movie of the day. And it was the one day I found out that I have limits. Like I can watch 5 movies in a day. And I've done 5 movies a bunch of times at festivals, whether it's TIFF, out of Silver Spring at the New African Film Fest. I mean, you and I sit and watch movies.
Right.
But 6 movies in a day? That's a bridge too far, brother. I came out that movie that night, and it must have been maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And also, the Egyptian, to Travis's point when he talked to you about it, is when you get off the bus on Main Street, you can go right and go down Main Street so that it goes down the hill, or you make a left and you go up the hill, and it's up the hill. So if you're not in good physical shape, you may not be able to make it to the Egyptian. Well, like unless, like you said, you heard Travis say, like taking a break, going, and it's that high mountain air. So I have so many good Sundance stories about altitude and driving back to our hotel late at night, and there was a certain
flatulence.
Huh?
Flatulence.
No, not the flatulence. We were going, like the first year I think we stayed not in Park City, but we stayed outside of Park City. And we would drive along the highway, and it would reach a point where you might have been 8,000 feet above sea level, and your ears would pop. So we knew every night when we got to a certain point, you would go, uh-oh. But to his point, the flatulence year, I always tell people, if you don't drink a lot of water and you go to that high altitude, you either have chest pains, like some people have had, you have the flatulence situation, or you just out of breath. I mean, it's just, it is scary, man. But like I said, it was nothing I could do to flatulence year. Everywhere I was in the theater, I was like, I got nothing. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just my body reacting to this altitude. So having said that, man. So go ahead, Charles.
Well, between the two of us, I know you said you had 12 movies. I think on the FilmGordon site, we've got about 23 movies that we're going to see at Sundance and 9 shorts. But my schedule, I'm taking a different route because I have a different purpose. I'm going to see some movies, but I've already lined up a couple of events and parties that I'm going to go to meet people and do some things. I'm figuring out how to do my food budget because, if I go to the parties where they serving the food, I can snack there and not have to worry about going to no, that's not going to work.
No, I'm just looking at you because I'm telling you, when he said go to the fresh market is kind of like a combination. Here in Maryland, we have Wegmans, Trader Joe's. What's the other high-end one? Whole Foods, right? So Fresh Market is kind of like one of those sorts of supermarkets, and they make sandwiches for you and do all that stuff. But the thing about that store is that it just won't be critics or people in the industry. You'll see actors in Fresh Market. Like I ran into Idris Elba at Fresh Market. I ran into Tessa Thompson. So Stanley Nelson, the documentary film, you'll see, because the thing about Sundance, which is really interesting, is that it's not like in LA that there's a buffer and like you're at this Spago and everybody else is over here at In-N-Out Burger. It's like everybody's in the same place at the same time. So you're running to people and you say, hey, love your work. Nice seeing you. So I remember Tessa Thompson was in the store. She was in line buying some food. I was behind her. I was like, hey, I like that coat. That coat is hot. So you just have fun at Sundance, man. But the food is high. It is not inexpensive. Everything at Sundance, you will discover quickly. I told you the story that a hotel might be $169 a night the day before the festival. The day of the festival, it's $669. Yeah, so everything gets jacked up. The food is high. It's not as good. It's not like you in LA or New York or DC or some other major metropolis. I mean, it is what it is, man. I look forward to getting feedback from you on what you think about the experience of going to Sundance. And it's gonna be really, really cold next week. because I've been looking at the weather and it looks like it's snowing every day that we're there. So it's going to be a lot of snow, which won't stop anything. You know, snow to them is routine. It's a ski town. So, you know,
so
I've been,
the highs are 29, and we're supposed to get maybe 3 inches of snow the first day, 6 the second day, and so you know it's going to be snowing. It's going to be fun.
hey man, it's gonna be fun. I just want you to enjoy the experience, brother. That's all I can tell you, man. Just don't go. You've heard me and Travis tell you, do not immerse yourself in movie after movie. It's the sights and sounds. You're doing parties that I'm laughing because I have a conversation I did with Eamon Joseph, who stars in Snowfall, but he has 2 movies at Sundance, a short and a feature. So I already called him up like last week and was like, yo, man, we doing these parties on Friday, right? I'm rolling with you. So that's another trick I learned about Sundance. You got an actor friend, find your actor friend, and there's your social hang, so you don't have to worry about waiting online. I'm with him.
with a dead phone.
True story. True story. Those are all real stories, but we got about 20 minutes, man. So I think that gives us enough time to go through some of the movies that I really wanted to hit.
Before you do,
Go ahead.
I know you guys talked a lot about House Party, but you never gave it a grade or anything. Is this a movie worth seeing in the theaters? Or come on, wrap it up before you go.
I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. And Travis kind of touched on it a little bit. This is a movie of this generation, right? I have an opinion. I'm not sure how much weight my opinion holds for a movie that is not made for me, that is very different from the original that I loved and revered so much. I'm hesitant to tell people to not go see it because maybe it's not a movie made for me. It's not even a movie made for you. It's not a movie made for Travis, and Travis is much younger than I, and he felt like he was out of touch. That's why I asked the question: will it be a movie that will age like the original age for us? I'm not really sure. I would tell people, and I said in my review, you know, you be the judge. You go and check it out if you want to. It's not made for me, and I'm just being real. I'm not even saying that like it's bad. I have to recognize that I'm a guy that's I've been doing this job as a critic about the same amount of time that the original came out to now. So I have an opinion. I wrote a review. You can go to the FilmGordon and hear what I had to say about the movie. But I'm just not sure how valid my opinion is about this movie, considering that we're not just talking about a regular movie with story structure and nuance and cinematography and story. We're talking about something that is of a certain time, right? So, yeah, Charles, that's the easiest way to say it, which is probably why I didn't have a grade for it, or to say don't go see it because it's horrible. We talk about horrible movies all the time. I don't necessarily think it's horrible because, as I said, the 3 people that I respect who saw this movie, and I laughed. I thought some of the stuff in it was funny. Kid Cudi literally is the breakout star in this movie. He is super funny in this movie. Not as in ha-ha funny, but in a very dry, very, very dry, droll sense, but it works really, really well. So yeah, man, that's what I would have to say about House Party, and I'm being transparent that I'm not trying to be the get off my lawn. This movie is horrible. It's not horrible. It's just not made for you. It's just not made for you.
Well, you know, with Megan and then House Party, and then we got a movie coming out next week that we're going to talk about. I think I said before that the industry is changing. The landscape of movies is changing, where January used to be a time where you just took a break from going to the cinema. And now I think that people are getting to see that there's some value in putting something out of worth during the month.
Well, before we move on, man, let me just also say that coming out on PBS on January the 17th is going to be the first documentary on Zora Neale Hurston, and it's called Zora Neale Hurston Claiming a Space. If you go to the FilmGordon.com, there will be a conversation that I will post over the weekend because it comes out Tuesday, so I'll probably get that up over the weekend. That's coming out. I'm trying to think.
While you're thinking,
Yes.
I haven't had an opportunity to tell you about this, but there's a show on Netflix called Kaleidoscope starring Giancarlo
Esposito.
And a couple of the episodes are directed by Robert Townsend. It's actually a pretty engaging show. It's another one of these heist series, but it has a different twist in that it jumps back and forth in time, where you can see different aspects of how they get together to do this heist. And I thought it was actually pretty well done. It's a real gem that you can check out on Netflix right now.
Yeah, I saw it, and I think the other thing which you didn't talk about is that you can watch it sort of out of order, right? So you don't necessarily need to watch it in the order. Now, I would say you have to watch the last one. I think.
Yeah.
But you can watch, and they're all color coded, right? So it's blue and pink and green and whatever the colors they use. So it is very, very interesting. But yeah, the other one, like I said, it's coming out in 2 weeks, man. We'll definitely have to circle back for you people. And I'm supposed to be talking to Kenya Barris, so there's going to be a conversation that is coming up with that as well. And I got some other surprises, man, coming up in the month of January of some other people and some other junkets that I'm going to be doing. So it is what it is, man. So, Charles, you ready to talk about some of these movies?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So some of the movies that we wanted to see, and I'll just kind of rattle off some of the titles. All Dirt Roads Taste Like Salt. I think that one, Charles, is because that one has, wait a second. I definitely wanted to spotlight that one because that was all of the movies that we have on the site are movies for a reason that we have on there. I think Sheila Atim from Bruised and The Woman King is in that one. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So the thing that's interesting about Sundance, also for Charles's sake, is that sometimes you don't really know what these films are, right? So pretty much you're looking at either who's the producer, director, or who's the star, or what kind of synopsis it has, right? So there have been some movies I've gone in and seen, and I'm like, I don't know any of these actors in here, but this synopsis, this premise is really, really strong. I want to check this out, right? So and a lot of the movies that we're talking about today are featuring people of color, whether, kind of our BIPOC initiative, whether it's Black, Asians, Latinx, indigenous people. So a lot of these movies. So Magazine Dreams is Jonathan Major's film where he's a weightlifter who's dealing with some stuff. Jonathan Majors, I don't know when he has the time to make all these movies between what he's doing with Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Creed 3. He just came out of, what was the most, Devotion. I mean, Jonathan Majors, this movie, Magazine Dreams, when does this dude ever take a break, man? It's like he's bouncing from movie set to movie set to movie set.
He is literally Kang jumping through time to do all these movies.
Another movie I wanted to spotlight is about a year and a half ago, Charles, you and I had Literary Month in September where we interviewed a bunch of female documentary filmmakers. Remember this?
Yes.
And one of them was Lisa Cortez at the time that I forget the movie we brought her on for, but she has a brand new movie at Sundance called Little Richard, I Am Everything. So I have that on my list as one of the movies that I want to see, a definitive documentary about this rock and roll pioneer, man. Did you have that on your list that you wanted to check out as well?
I do. And the question I have for you is, do you have it on the list because of Lisa Cortez or because of Little Richard, or is it both?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I mean, Lisa Cortez, I'm not going to call her a dear friend, but Lisa Cortez is a friend of our show. She's also connected to me in a very personal way that we talked about on the show. So and I ran into her. I didn't get a chance to really speak to her, but I saw her in Toronto several months ago. So I'm looking forward to checking this film out. Charles, what about To Live, Die, and Live? That is the latest film from Kasim Bashir. I always mispronounce his name, I feel like. His last film that he debuted at Sundance was A Boy, a Girl, and a Dream with Amari Hardwick and Megan Good. Right. This one has Eamon Joseph. Trying to think of who else is in this film.
I know Amari Hardwick is in.
Amari Hardwick's back in this one, yeah. So that's definitely on the list of something I want to see. I'm trying to go through it, Charles. Invisible Beauty is a doc that I have down. That's a documentary about Beth Ann Hardison, who was a model and an agent and the mother of Kadeem Hardison. So I wanted to check that one out.
Yeah, that's a funny story about that movie was when you went through the list the first time, this movie wasn't listed. No. And then I found it and I submitted, said, you're like, no, you're not. I'm going to see
it. That's not how it happened. Close, but not how. And one last movie, to your point of a movie not being there, that the first time that they added late was Stephen Curry, Underrated.
Yeah,
so definitely check that out. Is there anything on the list of films that we have on the site that jump out?
The interesting thing about Stephen Curry's movie is that it's really talking about his time at Davidson and kind of paralleling it to one of the Golden State's bad seasons. And so I'm really interested in that movie. There's another one called Jamal Jaya, which is I love the rap movies. Sometimes when you get these up and coming rappers, and so this is a little bit of a different spin because it's not an African American person and it's not a white person rapping, but we got an Asian person that's rapping here. So it's going to be that's coming up in the rap game. So I thought that would be an interesting movie to check out. I'm looking forward to that one.
Anything else on the list, man? Because I've rattled off like maybe 4 or 5 of them.
There's a movie called Heroic, which star, and I can't remember who the stars of it are at the present time, but it's a Spanish film about an 18-year-old boy who enters into military type of school, and I guess it kind of sounds like maybe a devotion or inspection or something along those lines. So I was interested to check that one out. One that you didn't put on the site, but I'm interested in is Casano, which is about lucha libre wrestling.
And, I heard about this.
And a man who is from the LGBTQ community entering into the world of wrestling and just changing the whole style of lucha libre wrestling. And I thought that would be an interesting film to check out. So there's a few things that are. Did you talk about Young, Wild, and Free?
I did not. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead because I think you wanted to see that one.
Well, I think part of what my disadvantage is that I don't have a synopsis of all the films. I'm just kind of looking at the titles that sort of jump out. You talked about Young, Wild, and Free. There was Drift. Mami Wada is another one that we have on the list, 1001. Also, if you go look at the list, Charles, there's only one movie on there that's bolded, which meant that I've seen that one already, and I just need to come back and do a review. A short called Troy.
Yeah. What's the laughter for?
Well, I'll just give you the synopsis. Troy is a story about a couple that live in kind of an apartment building, and it has very thin walls. And let's just say that they have a very active neighbor who lives next door.
Oh,
a gay guy who's over there next door, just tearing it up. And they can hear it, and it becomes this drama of the people who are going over there, it's a very strange and interesting film, and I should probably do some sort of a small kind of review on that. But it made me laugh. I was like, damn. It's like, so we're watching the shorts as well as the features and docs, because of course the Light Reel Film Festival is coming up in June, and we're looking at some of the films out of this festival, South by, and some of the other festivals to try to look for content that we will program. So but I say that in hindsight because we probably got about maybe 7 or 8 minutes left. I'm just saying in hindsight that I think I'm doubly enthused this year about Sundance, and part of it is that Charles has never been there, so we're trying to show it to Charles. And then it's my first time back. The last time Travis was in Sundance was 2020. The last time I was there was 2019. So I haven't been to Sundance. It'll be my first time in 4 years being back on the mountain. And
Wow.
you're trying to get your sea legs. I finished my my list of what I had to pack already today, so I just had to pack it. And I need to probably think through it some more. I've been checking the weather because I want to make sure that I'm not cold when I'm at Sundance. And I think you have a responsibility, Charles, whether it's having too many clothes versus having not enough clothes. because once you boots on the ground, bruh, you just got to roll with what you got. And I'm like, I'm already thinking through. The wheels are turning. Also, we'll get it.
It sounds to me like Park City doesn't have a Walmart where I can go and like go if I forget something, I'm short.
So, no. They might have a Walmart, but so for people at home, right, to give you to put you in a mindset of what Sundance is. Once you get to Park City, right? So let's say hypothetically an average day, right? An average festival day. Movies start as early as 8 in the morning, right? So when you get out the house, you get up 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, you get out the house. It's not like you're going to watch a movie and then I'm done, I'm going back home. It doesn't work that way. You will get out the house at 7, 8 in the morning, and you're literally gone all day. And if you got a late schedule where you have stuff that's happening like that night, nobody's going back home to change. Whatever you rocking with in the morning is what you with at night. So you are out all day, and that's every day, all day, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. And after a while, you're just gonna be like, ugh. And then again, remember we told you got to eat on the run, because there's not a lot. Unless if you don't have a packed schedule, you will have some time to kind of try to find some places where you can kind of relax and eat. But in the years that we were going early, we never did any of that, man. So it was like, I got 5 movies a day. I got 4 movies a day. So you bouncing around. And it's not like all the movies are in the same place, Charles. So
right.
You have a movie here, then you got to get on a bus and go to Echoes for a premiere. And then you got to go to the library, or you might have to go up the hill to the Egyptian, or you might have to, I mean, I think they're like, I want to say, is it 10 or 11 different places you can watch movies? So it's a very interesting experience. And the fun part for you, Charles, is if you have this experience, by the time you go to TIFF is 3 times busy and larger than what Sundance is. So Sundance might have 9 to 11 theaters. At TIFF, you might have 28 to 30 different places to watch movies, whether it's the Lightbox, the Scotiabank, the Whales, and each one of these places, Charles,
in the screens.
Yeah, in the Scotiabank, they got 24 screens in there. In the Lightbox, they got 8. You go to the Whales, they do premieres at the Whales. I forget the name of the other 2 that are down the street, but they have 3 huge 1,500 seat theaters or houses that they do premieres in. So when we saw The Woman King, we saw it down the street. Then I came back down the street to see Glass Onion, and then you went over here to see Devotion. Then you went over. I was like, So the festival life, man, when you start doing it and you go into different festivals, each festival has its own rhythm. Sundance's rhythm is compounded by the fact that it is cold. It is cold. And so having said all of that, I'm not sure at the conclusion of this show how helpful it was in giving you a peek into the movies, but we definitely gave you a peek into the culture of what it is. And if it's helpful, what I think we'll do, Charles, is that when we're there, I don't know how you want to handle it. You know how I do my reviews. I can sit there and find 300-400 words and then just record a review and get it up on the site. So that's pretty much what I will be doing. Did you have a number of films? Because I think Travis is saying that he's seeing, maybe 15. I've got 12 that I'm going to see. I may add another film or two. It depends, but I'm not going to really kill myself because I've learned over time that you can't see all the movies at the festival. There's certain things you want to see, and then the rest of them will come out during the year, and you'll see them either at other festivals or when they're out in theaters. But your goal is not to see 40 movies at a film festival. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you can do 6 movies a day, and I'm gonna be there for 5 days, so that would be 30 movies.
Not this
but
year.
No,
not doing that. I could do that, and guess what would happen? Is I would go to Sundance and I would come back, and you would ask me how was the festival, and I'd be like, man, I have no idea. I didn't do anything. All I did was go to the movies. so I might not see. Look, Travis, Charles, I might not see 12 because there were some movies that were late on Friday. And if it came down to a party or a movie, I'm going to do a party because the parties are 2 nights. And then after that, it's all movies. So, but we'll see, man. I'm really, as I said, I'm really looking forward to it. I really am anxious to find out your feelings once you're back home, to find out how much fun you had, or if you had any fun at all. You might have been like, this is horrible, it's too much walking, it's too cold.
Well, the saving grace is the Light Reel Film Festival, in that I'm there to see some movies, but I'm really there to get some movies. So my whole goal to get there is I want to see who I can see, talk about getting them to come to DC for us. And so, I'm going to see some movies, but that's not my priority. I might get a dozen in, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, and there's one last thing, and I'll probably have to talk to you about this off air, is that you need to be prepared to network. Because even if you're standing online at these waiting in these theaters, you meet people because they're festival programmers. You're in line either with film critics or festival programmers, right? So P&I screenings, press and industry, right? So there are lots of industry people. I've got to remind you of I got the virtual business card, bro. I'm telling you, it's going to save your life. That you don't ever have to worry about, hey, man, you got a phone? there it is. I'm trying to tell you. So, so any last notes, man? Because we got about a minute left in the show. Any last notes?
No, I think I'm good. I'm excited for my first trip to Park City, Utah. And the festival is going to be interesting. I'm excited. I know it's old hat for you, but for me, this is an exciting time.
Well, it's not just necessarily old hat. I was going to say, I think the biggest change for me this year is that I've been there some years where there were some films that have some true buzz. Like, man, oh my God, this movie's going to Sundance. This is probably the first time I've ever gone where that doesn't exist. Like, there's not that one film that everybody's like, man, I got to get to Sundance to see that movie. So I was honestly a little underwhelmed in that regard. Now I might be surprised that I may get there and something, because you'll hear the murmurs a lot of times. People are like, hey, you're going to see such and such. And you're like, was that good? And they'll tell you, ooh. And then you'll start hearing people talk about movies. So maybe there's a movie that will be surprised that I get on the ground and go, oh, damn, well, that was hot. We didn't see that one coming. So, but yeah, man. So on behalf of my friend Charles Kirkland, of course, I'm Tim Gordon. As we tell you guys in closing every week, please see something good at the movies. House Party is in theaters this week. I'm anxious to get some feedback from people. Leave comments in our box, whether it's a movie you felt worked for you, if you want to hold on to the memories of the original. You just kind of let us know. But you can reach us at FilmGordon@gmail.com. And just also remember to please subscribe to this show at FilmGordon on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We all over the place, man. So until next time, Charles, that's a wrap. And hopefully when we come back next week, man, we'll be at Sundance, baby. All right, man. You take care and enjoy your holiday weekend. You guys take care. Peace.